This is the CitizenLink Report.
If you find our insights helpful, would you support our video efforts? Your gift of $25 or more goes a long ways. Covers the crew, lights, cameras, all that. Just click on Donate. Thanks from all of us.
Today's culture can be confusing even for adults, but imagine your teen trying to stand for their faith in a school where political correctness reigns. This is the CitizenLink Report. Hi, I'm Kim Troby along with Candi Cushman, the education analyst for Focus on the Family. Hi, Candi.
Hi, Kim. Good to be with you.
You work on a project for Focus on the Family that's called Day of Dialogue, and it really helps students wade through all the confusion on campus. First of all, tell me a little bit about Day of Dialogue.
Yeah, well, it's exactly like you said. You know, today we've been seeing a lot of inflammatory headlines, especially when it comes to the media coverage lately of the clash between religious freedom and this increasing promotion of same-sex marriage, not only in the culture, but in our schools. And so if it's hard for us as adults to discern what the real story is, just think what it's like for our teens. And that's really what has led to this creation of Day of Dialogue to equip the next generation. And what it is basically is a free speech event for high school and college students all across the nation, and it really just creates a safe place and an equal opportunity for them to be able to bring their Christian beliefs, their biblical perspective to the table in a legal, a respectful, and a loving manner.
Now, you have some new resources this year that you're helping parents and pastors be able to guide their kids through this process. You recently received an email from a mom who was really struggling with an issue with her daughter at school. Tell me a little bit about that email.
That's right. You know, this email just so illustrates why this new tool, the Parent Pastor Guide, is so essential, I think. And I actually talked to this mom on the phone, and she was just the sweetest, most compassionate mom, but just really concerned on behalf of her teenage daughter. And what had happened is her teen daughter had gone into class expecting to study the usual academic subjects, and instead was given this petition to approve a new school policy, basically approving same-sex couples attending prom. And so her daughter, you know, felt pressure. My understanding is it was older students that were allowed to come in and ask younger students to sign this. And so the daughter, of course, went to the parent for help, but the mom was kind of at a loss. Well, what exactly are my Christian daughter's rights in a public school? And that's where resources like this can really help parents and pastors to prepare teens and equip them to navigate these situations that come up in their lives.
One of the things that you use in the Parents and Pastors Guide is video to help adults know what to do with their kids or how to help them walk through it. And we're going to show a clip right now from Pastor Jeff talking a little bit about what adults can do with kids.
Many are simply not communicating the truth of the gospel because they have been led to believe that communicating an opposing viewpoint is unloving and inconsiderate. We need to help them to understand that to disagree does not mean that we disrespect.
Well, that's pretty powerful stuff.
It really is, Kim, and I think the reason it is so powerful when we hear that is because he's talking about that we don't want our Christian teens in this culture to feel like they have to stuff their beliefs, they have to be ashamed of them and hide them. We want to equip them and empower them to feel like they can have confidence in their biblical viewpoint and expressing what's in their heart and have a safe place to do that. And I'll just mention that one way this kit equips you to talk through that with your teens is it gives a really easy to read graphical explanation of what students' legal rights are in public schools. It's got a myths versus facts section. It addresses things like, can they bring their Bible to school? Can they pray at school with their friends? Can they bring up their Christian viewpoint in class? It even has an online quiz that the students can take, and it makes it fun, and you can do it as a family activity. So I really encourage you to check those resources out.
You have a lot of really great stuff in this parenting guide, including the myths and facts that you just talked about. But you also have some called Reflecting Christ at School, Redemptive Dialogue, and one that I really like called the Conversation Starter Guide. How can adults use those? Yeah,
I think those are some of the best tools in the guide. Specifically, the Reflecting Christ at School is a free downloadable PowerPoint presentation, and it even comes with free printable notes. So it's all there, right there for you if you're a parent or a youth leader. It makes it really easy for you to just have an interactive discussion with your students. And so what the Reflecting Christ at School does is just present some biblical examples, because one of the themes of Day of Dialogue is challenging students to really reflect Christ where they are. You know, the biblical example of Christ in the Bible is that he didn't shy away from speaking truth, but neither did he hold back from loving the people around him or standing up for vulnerable people. And so it just presents students with several examples like that. You know, Christ talking to the woman at the well, Paul talking to the Athenians, which is a great example of interacting with the culture around you. And it has discussion questions, and you can just talk to the teens in your life. What can we learn from this? How can we put this in practice? And, you know, just speaking of the practice part, you mentioned the putting redemptive dialogue into practice presentation. And so that has real life situations like we've been talking about today with the petition, with the same-sex prom. So it gives students examples of real life situations that students have faced and lets them have an interactive activity. How did they formulate a response to that based on their biblical viewpoint? And it even gives them a way to tie that to specific biblical principles and just gives them a situation and asks them, what biblical principle would you apply to this? So it's about equipping them to articulate their biblical viewpoint, to feel confident that biblical principles speak into the culture today, and to think through those situations in advance and think through how to navigate them and to think through their biblical perspective.
Talk a little bit about the Conversation Starter Guide.
Right. Well, that's a fun tool because it's colorful. It's an infographic that teens will like. And it's got a table with chairs. Kind of the whole idea is starting a conversation at your school. And you can click at each chair, and it has it's basically a topical guide based on each chair. Hot button topics for today, like bullying, God's design for sexuality, why does male and female matter? And if you click on each one, it has really easy to use conversation starters, discussion questions, and then teen-friendly questions on each topic. So that's a great tool to use as a youth leader, a parent, or even just a student yourself, just to kind of get your feet wet in this and start talking about it as a family.
Wonderful stuff. Okay, so if you're an adult and you have kids in your lives and in your life and you want to help them walk through this, where can they get the information?
Right, well, that's the easiest part. You just go to dayofdialogue.com, just look at the top right-hand corner of the website. You'll see buttons up there in the right-hand corner that say Start Now, download the guide. All you have to do is just enter your name and email, and you can get a free downloadable guide with all those tools in it.
And we want to make sure and let people know when Day of Dialogue is.
That's
What's the date?
Point. April 10th. There will be thousands of students nationwide using free speech tools. The website has t-shirt designs, poster designs, conversation cards they can distribute before and after class. So definitely teens will want to join with thousands of other Christian students for that event, April 10th.
Candi, you always do such amazing work on Day of Dialogue. Thanks for being here today.
And thanks for talking to me about it.
Sure. And we want to thank all of you who have written to us. We love to hear what you have to say. You can always let us know what you think. Go to mail@citizenlink.com. Drop us a note, and we try to answer as many of those as we can, and we appreciate your input. As always, we encourage you to pray for our elected officials and for our nation. And as always, stand tall and be heard.